You guys, Poodle Hat is the album that almost got away from me because this is a period in my life where I'm done with college, but I haven't yet started dating the woman who would eventually become my wife. So there's a period of 3 or 4 years there where like just musically dead, no outside influence whatsoever, not following music in the slightest. No idea Weird Al's cooking up a new album, right? Until I'm on IRC one night and one of my boys comes in with an amusing internet hyperlink to the venerable Web 1.0 website ytmnd.com with a favorable animation entitled Stan Sells Everything to Guybrush. And I watched it 30, 40 times in a row, as you do. And then I'm like, hey, wait a minute. And the next day, I am happy to report that Target had Poodle Hat in stock. But if it was not for that animation, I don't know how I would have learned about it.
Good job, you're the man now, dog.
This does feel kind of like an album that, you know, for some people might be a dip in their Al listening history because this comes after Running with Scissors. And then afterwards, we get Straight Outta Linwood. I think there's reasons why this album might have passed you by, Ricky, that we could get into.
It didn't.
I mean, it could have.
It didn't go anywhere.
Not to spoil what's coming, but this might be my highest rated Al album yet.
Really?
Yeah.
I have seen conversations like Poodle Hat and Polka Party are the albums that always get thrown around as the weakest in the whole discography. And I'm like, you haven't listened to Poodle Hat for a while, is my takeaway.
I know, I'm ready to be the villain in this show.
Well, let's at least start off with your strong suit of some hastily made history.
Oh, yes, Weird Al's Poodle Hat. This not so hastily made history, especially coming up. No spoilers on that one. The album was released on May 20th, 2003. It was recorded at Mad Dog Studios and EMG Studios, engineered by Tony Papa and Rafael Serrano, assisted by Aaron Kaplan, Doug Sanderson, and Tony Zoller. The original songs were recorded starting in March 2002 through the next couple of months, while the parodies in Polka were recorded a year later in March 2003. Critical reception, spoiler, was mixed. Reading most of the contemporary reviews of the album at the time, people were feeling that maybe Al is losing a step. That said, the album peaked at 17 on the Billboard charts, and it also charted at 12 on the then new Billboard Comedy Albums chart. However, the album did not go gold or platinum. Couch Potato, the lead single, did not chart, but eBay did. It got to 115 on the Billboard Hot 100. Don't ask me how numbers work.
Yeah, wait a minute.
The album did win a Grammy for Best Comedy Album because apparently the rules for Grammys had changed during the past several years because music was not allowed in the comedy category. It was changed to like a spoken word for like stand-up comedians. And the CD, like Running with Scissors, was a special dual mode multimedia CD. Now, personnel, we've got returning personnel. You guys always know that Weird Al, Jim West, Steve J, and John Bermuda Schwartz are back as the band. Warren Learning is on trumpets for the polka, Joel Peskin on clarinet, Tommy Johnson on tuba, Tom Evans returns for saxophones, Ruben Valtierra on keyboards, Lee Thornburg is back for trumpets and trombone for Wanna Be Your Lover and Genius in France. Will Anderson returns for harmonica on Bob. Julia and Maxine Waters are back for backing vocals. Lisa Popeil is also back for backing vocals on Hardware Store. And Carmen Twilly is back for backing vocals on Genius in France. Now we've got new personnel. We've got record scratching back. That's right, DJ Swamp is providing record scratches on Wanna Be Your Lover. He toured with Beck for 4 years after getting his demo tape to Beck, and Beck called him up and said, "Hey, I like your washboard action."
I understood that reference.
Next, Ben Folds on piano for Why Does This Always Happen to Me? To which I wrote underneath, Ben Folds 5, question mark?
No relation.
John Juke Logan on harmonica for Ode for a Superhero. He is a famous TV and film harmonica player. If you've heard the Home Improvement and Roseanne themes, he played the harmonica on those. He did music for Streets of Fire, the movie. He died of cancer in 2013 at the age of 66. Herb Peterson on banjo in Genius in France. He's a session musician since the 70s, playing guitar, banjo, stringed instruments. He's part of the Desert Rose Band. Take one step forward and two step back, and nobody gets too far like that. Weird Al's poodle, Bella, provides barks for a genius in France. And yes, she is the eponymous Poodle Hat. And last but not least, Dweezil Zappa himself provides guitar solos on Genius in France.
We should probably talk about that actual Poodle Hat now, eh?
Yeah, that's right, because on the album art, we've got a photograph of Weird Al wearing a poodle, Bella, on his head. Apparently, it was very difficult for them to do that. I guess dogs don't like being on people's heads.
So they didn't just Photoshop Bella up there.
There was some cheats going on with that, I believe.
Fair enough. You know what? I love this album art. I'm trying to think of when was the last time we just had a Weird Al album, which is essentially just photography of the musician himself. Like, we gotta go all the way back to Even Worse, right?
They hired Mark Selger to do the photography. He's a big rock photographer. He's done Metallica, Van Halen, Cheap Trick, and so on and so forth. And two people I've never heard of, Nick Gamma and Jackie Murphy, did the art design. And now I'm not going to identify everyone on the cover, but it is a group of Al's close friends and family.
I just really like this album art. This is peak Al design for me. It's busy yet focused. There is kind of like a spot the difference feel to it. little Where's Waldo-y. And yeah, no complaints on my end. Good, solid album art.
It really is kind of the spiritual successor to Polka Party, where Al's in the middle of the crowd and there's dissonance between him and the crowd he's in. And it's a little goofy. The one complaint I have about it is I always want to see the Poodle Hat lettering as being like billiard balls, but there's not enough variance in the coloration for them to be actual billiard balls.
Right. It's because their coloration and stuff is based on New York City subway lines.
Yeah, and I grew up in a place in America that doesn't have subways or public transit. So like my mind goes billiard balls and not trains.
There's one criticism I have of this album, and it's that Boy Scout, because that kid, number one, he's way too young to be a Boy Scout. In order to be in Boy Scouts, you got to be 13. He is a Cub Scout. And number two, I mean, he's wearing his full Class A, but he's wearing a Webelos hat on top. So if you're in full-blown Boy Scouts, you're not wearing a Webelos hat anymore, kid. That's Cub Scout stuff. That kid, I don't know, he don't look 13 to me, man.
That's like the 6th or 7th least egregious hat in this photo, though, right?
Yes.
Dan's about to go full Men in Black on this one.
Oh, no.
I mean, that's not even a real New York City subway car. That's done in it might actually be a real car, but it's not in New York. It's on a soundstage in Los Angeles. Weird Al, what kind of trick are you trying to pull on me?
It's all Hollywood smoke and mirrors.
Yes.
This album is the end of an era.
Okay.
Go on.
I have no idea why. I just have been saying it for so many weeks in a row that it felt natural, but we're not going anywhere with that. I can't think of any.
Is this the end of your end of an era bit?
That's it. It's the end of an era because it's the end of my end of an era bit. Now, Buttface is going to want to put this entire album in the S tier. The mountain he has to climb, he's got to get us up and over songs like I Remember Larry and The Saga Begins. The songs to beat at the very top are Bohemian Polka and Your Horoscope for Today. And if any song on this album is going to be the worst song we've ever heard, it's got to be worse than Pac-Man, or It's Still Billy Joel to me. If you want to listen along, Al has a Poodle Hat playlist on his YouTube channel. You can listen along with us. And without further ado, let's watch some TV, right?
And there's Gilligan and SpongeBob Plus. There's MacGyver and Jay Leno. Has got Madonna. Hey, there's Luke Perry on a special all Pig Latin episode of Drew Carey. Wanna turn on ET? Cause I'm a gossip freak and I got it.
Here we have the long-awaited finale, part 4, in the Al lists TV shows he's seen quadrilogy. I think it's the weakest anchor parody Al has put on an album.
Absolutely.
I'm not a big fan of Eminem, even going into Poodle Hat back in the day. I think this song is pure lyricism, right? And Al does a good job with it, but he's just listing the TV shows, and I just don't think those make for spectacular lyrics. If I'm going to stick to the TV shows Al has seen quadrilogy, I'm going to go back to Syndicated Incorporated.
I think that appeals more to your sense of music.
Yeah, I'm also not much of an Eminem guy, but like this is kind of Al's culmination of what I'm watching on TV, and I think it's kind of a perfect match for his recent exploration into rap. Like you can cram a lot more lyricism into that. And it's not even as hard as he's going to go on this album as far as rap is concerned.
Yeah, I know, right? I went through our previous rankings. We gave cable TV a C, I Can't Watch This a C, and Syndicated Incorporated a B. And as I was listening, I was like, is this going to be the song that finally breaks into the A tier for things I'm watching on TV? And my gut says no. And I appreciate that like I said earlier, we don't have to complain or point out anything about music production wise. I mean, this sounds like a perfect riff on Lose Yourself. Like you can hear the synth, the piano, I'll give Eminem credit that song won an Oscar for a reason, right?
The piano part of that song, by the way, is my favorite element in the song. I think it's beautiful.
We have to talk about Eminem. I know we don't want to. It's something we've all been trying to avoid all week long.
Do you mean like the candies or...
No, I mean, I'd love to talk about M&M's The Candies. They don't melt in your mouth. But anyway, the thing is that Eminem, or Marshall Mathers, he's an enemy of fun. And you might be asking yourself, Self, this is the lead single of the album. Why isn't there a video to go along with it? And in an interview with Jeff Vrabel of the Chicago Sun-Times, Al had this to say about the missing video. We were already in pre-production. We believed that it was just a formality, that Eminem just wanted to hear the final mix of the song. And then we got a phone call saying he wasn't going to give us permission. We were devastated. I certainly don't have any bad feelings towards Eminem. He was gracious enough to let us use the song in the album, and we used Real Slim Shady in the Angry White Boy Polka medley too. But this is the first album I've ever released without an accompanying video. And unfortunately, without a video to really push the album, this tanked the album commercially. Eminem, it is within his right to do that. But everything that I've read looking in the research was that Al thinks that Eminem was worried that a video would detract from his serious legacy as a rapper and people would take him less seriously as a hip hop artist because Weird Al made a video of him. I think this comes from Eminem's fear that Weird Al is a better rapper than him.
Ooh. That's not where I thought you were going with that.
I'm going to say he's right to be afraid.
He is right to be afraid.
If Dan's speculation is correct, then it's absolutely correct. Al is the stronger rapper. You just have to listen to Couch Potato and Lose Yourself next to each other to hear that.
Now, here's another thing that Weird Al is better at than Eminem. You guys know about the Al TV, MTV specials, where Al cuts together fake interviews to kind of Joshua and, the people that he's parodied songs with. We've talked
He's
about
doing a Space Ghost.
Exactly. Al spliced some videos together of Eminem saying, I really believe in freedom of speech. I can't even stress that enough, especially artistic expression. I believe an artist is an artist and should be able to say whatever he wants to say, whatever you think is good or bad. And Al says in response, uh-huh. So you think, for example, if somebody wanted to do, a parody of somebody else's video, they should be able to artistically express themselves and just do it? And Al splices that with a clip of Eminem going, he had no response. A few years later, 2009, Eminem has published his book, The Way I Am. And at this point, I think Eminem realizes that he may have pulled a Coolio with this. And Marshall Mathers says, Weird Al also got me. He made a video, did a fake interview with me, spliced it with clips from my old interviews, and put it up on the internet. He's a very funny motherfucker. When something like that happens, you have to sit back and say, oh, he got me. It's something you pick up from battles. You learn to be a good sport about a lot of stuff. If you want to dish it out, you've got to be able to take it. And I think that interview once again proves that Weird Al can diss better than Eminem can diss. And Eminem is famous for his disses.
Ooh.
So just to bring it back to a thing that Brick said, this goes harder than the original is what you're saying.
It does.
It sounds like it's kind of lifting up this song. I don't know. I might just be personal taste, but this is maybe the strongest opener of an album so far. For me, personal taste. I really connect with the message of this song. I like how this gets back to the roots of cable TV, where a guy is jazzed about the barrage of content, just the endless trash they have available. And this is fat or eat it for those of us addicted to media consumption.
I would be interested if Al could do a song like this for streaming networks today.
I honestly relate to, because I've only got one brain to rot, I'm going to spend my life watching television a lot as a pledge. We live in a time and place where every minute more is being created and media made available to the masses than ever before in history. And while the vast, vast, vast majority of it is treacle, even just the best 1% is more than any single person could hope to eternalize in a lifetime.
Sure.
Like, I would watch James Lipton discuss the oeuvre of Mr. Rob Schneider. Are you kidding me?
C for couch potato.
I gave it a B. B for Bravo.
I'm sorry, this is an S. I love this song. This
Oh.
song resonates so strongly with me. It's lyrically the best, musically the best, and also elevates the original song. I don't know about Dan, and I know Brick lives in Florida's armpit, but I've lived in small towns / things that are technically cities for my whole life. We're talking like places strictly smaller than 30K residents. So when you hear that a new shop is opening in town, that is all anyone can talk about for months. Talk about firsthand experience. The tiny island that Not a Girl Face is from is under a 3K population, and her mom worked at the local hardware store, like the local hardware store. There's one on the island. Hardware stores for small towns are magical places. They do literally have everything. They are the lifeblood of the community. Wizards work there who you turn to in your most dire hours when the defecation hits the oscillation, or where you go to hang out after school, just to wander the aisles of junk, totally staying out of trouble. Oh, and also this song is maybe the hardest that Al goes in his whole discography. Like, number one, with a bullet, my favorite song, bar none. This is the listicle to end all listicles, coming off of the back of one of the better listicles he has made with the last song. We have got zany power tool percussions, we have a manic melody to pair with his exuberant vocal delivery, and let's not forget those angelic layered choruses with all those vocal harmonies overdubbed. And that's not even touching on the bridge so fast that some say it can't even be done live.
I have never seen it perform live, and I have looked. I've never seen anybody do it.
Al does not attempt to perform it live. He's on record saying it is trying to do it exactly like it is live would be incredibly difficult. That said, Al, I bet there's some ways that you could arrange this that could be done live it wouldn't be exactly like this record, but they would be very interesting and I would like to hear them.
I'm going to go ahead and just read my notes in their entirety for Hardware Store. I feel like the song deserves that. Here's what I wrote. Hardware Store is Hardware Store. What else can you possibly say about the song? It defies genre. It's just pure comedy, start to finish. That insane 1,200 Sanix per hour bridge, just listing everything, is so fantastic. And as I said, was literally my introduction to this album. I didn't even know that it was a Weird Al bit when I first heard it. And it was so funny, it destroyed my life.
Guys, what would you say if I told you that Weird Al made a JRPG final boss song for the game Hardware Quest? That is this song.
Look, I'd play it.
You say that, but one of my favorite ways to consume this song is actually like somebody's Beat Saber performance of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's fantastic. It's a video game song.
I've fallen down a rabbit hole of watching hip hop fans react to hearing this song for the first time and just losing it jaw on the floor like, what? Not only that, they've got Allen wrenches, gerbil feeders, toilet seats, electric heaters, trash compactors, juice extractors, shower rods, and water meters, walkie-talkies, copper wires, safety goggles, radial tires, BB pellets, rubber mallets, fans, and dehumidifiers. Picture hangers, paper cutters, waffle irons, window shutters, paint removers, window louvers, masking tape, and plastic cutters, kitchen faucets, folding tables, weather stripping jumper cables. I can't breathe.
You got very far though, and I appreciate that. Like,
Oh, it's too hard. I didn't even get to wrecking chisels.
Can I just go ahead and put this in triple S?
Sorry, this is the top of the S tier.
Yeah.
This is the top of the S tier, the song to beat from now on forever.
we'll see what happens when we get to the actual end rankings, but I'm also giving it S. This is triple S across the board.
And now garbage is piled up high, and buddy, you should see the flies. I said there's something rotten here. Say what? You better hold your nose.
Hey, you disgusting slob. You better take measure.
Around the time Poodle Hat came out, I had a friend. His place was the place this song is about. He never took out his garbage ever. It was a disgusting little trailer, but he was the only one of our friends who had a place. So we spent a lot of time there. And in those days, we were playing a lot of Smash Brothers and Soul-Calibur 2. And one weekend, I took my GameCube and a stack of games over there. My buddy and I drove out to my friend's trailer. And on the way, we stopped into the grocery store, picked up some food, some bread, cold cuts and stuff. We're gonna make sandwiches when we get there. Get to the trailer, we realize the cleanest surface in the apartment to eat off of was the GameCube boxes that I had brought from home. So we're sitting there, like, cutting our sandwiches in half with little plastic knives that we bought on, like, a copy of Metroid Prime.
Oh no.
So that's a life experience that I have had. This song is very near and dear to my heart.
This is also a song for those who watch Hoarders, so I hear. The lines, "It's so bad the roach is wearing slippers," or "I wipe my feet before I go outside," are just comedy gold.
Yeah, the line that I always appreciate when Al does like little isms of the artist that he's spoofing, and he gets a lot of them in this song. Elevated parody for sure. The original song, Hot in Here by Nelly, is just a bog standard, look how rich and sexy I am rap, of which there are 300 million, right? But the little Nelly-isms in there, like, I think that rat's getting big. Like, he nails them all the way through the song.
Yeah, Al absolutely nails the production of this sound. As far as my untrained ear is concerned, it is a dead match. There is only one slight difference that I noticed, and it's in Al's singing tone. It's just stankier than Nelly's, which, like, it's appropriate. He's taken this corny, sleazy song and applying it to literal filth, and that's what I just call great synergy.
Yeah.
He's not really doing a Nelly impression too. Like, I wrote down, like, this sounds like an angry Al.
Yeah.
You know, like his voice is that stank on there. He's like, he sounds mad. My first note in this was, whoa, Nelly, because it sounds a lot like Nelly in terms of the actual song. You guys know me. It's like my knowledge of hip hop is not very good, but well, I like me some Nelly. Yeah, that's probably the whitest thing I've ever said on this show.
I mean, Al definitely does get those Garbo grumblies in here.
Yeah, the synthesizers, you could hear it, like it opens up with that E piano, and there's a lot of just frequency modulation going on. It's like, yeah, we've all had that roommate, right? Like, I had a roommate once in college, this freaking guy, my sophomore year. I was assigned to him, and he was a nice guy. I mean, I had no beef against him personally, but this dude smelled. And, like, I didn't know how to break it to him.
Sounds like he had some beef, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. We had to have an intervention with my RA because,
oh, no.
yeah, it was a problem. The only real observation I have for this song is I was listening to it, and the thought occurs that the original song was a dirty song, but this is a dirty song.
I've got this in A.
This is an A song.
I also gave it an A.
Everybody caught footloose with me at the party at the Leper colony.
Leprosy does not work this way. Good night. Because what leprosy does, it does not make your digits fall off. It does not make your skin fall off or body, but it doesn't do any of that. What leprosy does is it causes nerve damage and causes, your digits to go numb. Okay. You lose feeling in them. And when you lose feeling, you can get damaged, injured. You don't feel pain. You get infections. Other things can certainly happen. And if you lose the ability to use the digit, sometimes the body can reabsorb the digit. None of that stuff happens, and leper colonies are not a thing anymore.
It's that Bond villain who can't feel pain.
Sure, what?
Anyways, since this is an entirely fantastical take song, this is specifically what I was thinking of when we were discussing Toothless People, as Al taking a second swing at that Merry Malady song.
Honestly, as far as songs go, not that great. Yes, it is pulling off this, Springsteen, Mellencamp kind of vibe. Clarence playing that saxophone solo. Yeah, we could totally hear that happening. But at the end of the day, the song is just a slowed down, Bo Diddley beat that you hear in all sorts of like, you listen, what song do you think of? You think of I Want Candy. I want candy. Doot, 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 doot. That's it right there. It's the same thing.
Why'd you gotta hate on a song entirely composed of puns and double entendres?
You know I like a good pun, but
There's a guy in the hot tub. I don't know who. Wait a minute. It looks like stew. That is
Yeah.
the best line Al
know
has
what?
ever written.
I listen to this song and I'm laughing so hard. And this Pitch Black Al is back, right? And you're thinking, I'm going to that special hell. Every line is a banger. She cried her eyes out, literally. Oh my God. I do understand Dan's point about how it's kind of like a cartoon version understanding of how leprosy works. But the mainstream, like Hollywood version of leprosy is what Al is singing about here. And if you don't know anything about the disease, was Wikipedia like even a thing in 2003?
it was just starting.
I wonder what the Wikipedia entry for leprosy would have looked like when Al was researching this song.
I also had to do like a quick Google, just being like, okay, how insensitive was this at the time? No, leprosy was like a cured, solved problem as early as 2000. So like Al cleared
Yeah.
that hump. We're fine.
It's one of those things where, on the one hand, yep, I got to deflate the balloon a little bit, but I was going to quote the stew line. Damn it!
I was also
going
going to quote the stew line.
The stew line
my
is the best
song.
line.
It is the best line. Damn it!
I've got this in A tier.
Where toothless people felt derogatory, this one is celebratory.
They're having fun at the party, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're having a good time.
Also, it just has a good saxophone in your classic rock song, Dan. You're gonna say, oh, it's kind of rote. No, that's a good saxophone solo.
I mean, that's the
S++.
same sax solo I've heard in every Bruce Springsteen song. Like I said, Clarence could play that without even opening his eyes.
Good.
Where do you like this song in the tier list, Dan?
I gave it a B.
I'd said S++. I love this song. It's a
Ooh.
song entirely made out of pun.
I'm not going higher than Trash Day, right, Dan?
No.
Yeah.
Wake up, grab a brush and put a little makeup. I just start to fade away the shake up. Why'd you leave your keys up on the table? Here you go, create another fable. Grab a brush.
It really is the end of an era, because I'm not going to talk about an anime AMV for this week. Just closing out my run of S-tier polkas, going back to a more focused subject matter of angry white boy music, also known as punk, new, alt metal, or rock, right? This is, I don't know how you guys can say that, oh, Al's just phoning in the polkas now, because we have back-to-back Last Night Lounge cover, which is a peek into Al as Richard Cheese that we've seen a couple of times, and then right into a klezmer style Down with the Sickness. It's just, oh, man, that is moments of genius that you still get to plumb in these polkas.
I don't remember ever saying Al was just phoning in the medleys. Dan, did you ever say Al was just phoning in the medleys?
I don't think I recall saying that either.
No, neither of us have ever made that argument.
I'm pretty sure that you guys have said, oh, he's locked in his style and it's just the same polka going forward.
I mean, that's different than phoning it in. Like, the point that you make about the pairing with Down with the Sixes, like, yes, that is a good point. But here's the thing. Early aughts music was kind of a wasteland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think in terms of deflationary polkas, which are ones that are intended to take particular music and maybe knock them down a peg, I think this one achieves that the best.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, this is a real B polka to me.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Al needs to do more with those White Stripes folks. Like, there's some ripe musical ground there.
I
glad
don't
he's
disagree,
turned
and
on
that's
to
why
that.
that's why I put the White Stripes as the song I would like to see as the real parody.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, but that's it.
After careful consideration, Buttface, I have determined that this is Al's weakest polka medley, and I am therefore awarding it the lowest possible grade for a polka, the much maligned A-.
Again, this is the last of my S tiers. It's a run of 3, so this is only an S plus for me.
In terms of picking a song like I would have liked to hear a full parody of, that's because you can't pick Chop Suey because that's the best element of the polka. And
Yeah.
you can't pick Down with the Sickness because like Richard Cheese has already run with that ball. So you know what? I'm just gonna go with Ba with the Ba. Figure it out, Al.
Oh, I have a personal beef with Kid Rock.
Like personal, like he's acknowledged this.
Yes, you don't rhyme things with things. There are flashes of genius in this, and it's the last of his like laser-focused polkas. He's only done 2, and I really like them both.
How old were you in 2003?
The less you need to know, the better.
Might there be an element of you were at just that age at that time where Dan and I were in our 20s?
How about we play the next song?
How about we do that? Yeah, let's play the next song.
I hope I'm not being forward, but do you mind if I chew on your butt? You can tell me truthfully, am I a scheming hunk of love now or what?
The saga of Incel Guy continues, but this time he's discovered pickup artists, and he has gone down a hole that he will never be able to escape.
You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means. This guy is laying pipe. There's no way he's an incel.
Look, I'm going to be honest. Do you believe in love at first sight, or should I walk by again? Would absolutely work on me.
These guys exist, and they always go home with somebody. Like, there are people out there who are falling for this kind of stuff. In fact, I'm going to need to go take a cold shower, if you don't.
Now, this song reminds me of a song called Lover Boy by one of my favorite bands, Supertramp. I'm trying to force a narrative here from the guy that we've been following throughout the course of all these albums who keeps having bad relationships. I keep calling him Incel Guy, even though he's not always Incel Guy.
This is absolutely a bad partner song. Like, there are red flags here. But, as Bojack has taught us, through rose-tinted glasses, all flags are red flags.
Listen, somewhere out there, I guarantee you, there is someone who had their sexual awakening to the line, I want to chew on your butt.
Sure, why not?
Hunter, I do want to point out, though, there is a factual error in the spreadsheet that Buttface is maintaining for us. Thank you for all your hard work maintaining the spreadsheet for us, Buttface. But there is a factual error. This song, it really needs to be classified as a hard porno funk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Al wrote this song in a fit of frustration with how terrible most pickup lines are. Like, there really aren't any good ones that don't come off as goofy, stupid, or corny if you're not already into it, right?
Right.
Or they're just outright innuendo laden. So he wrote the worst ones that he could think of, and there's still some really great ones in here.
Yeah, they kind of swing back around, don't they?
Yeah. Even with all the lyrical content to get through, it's just so smooth to listen to.
There aren't enough O's to say how smooth it is.
Dude, it's got the bouncy slap bass. It's got those funky horns. This song just breezes by, and you don't even notice that it's a whole half a minute longer than Nature Trail to Hell.
This song is 100% written to be performed live. The stage version of this song is wild. Al goes out, he does crowd work for this song. So he's like out in the front row, he's gyrating on grandma, like he's twerking on people. They got him doing pelvic thrusts on the Jumbotron. It is 6 minutes of just pure awkward discomfort, and it's magical.
I absolutely believe this song is elevated live. So this song is late model Beck, okay? This is getting into late 90s, early aughts Beck, the Mutations, Midnight Vultures kind of production. You know, what if I upped my production game? And that's Al saying, you know, Beck, you did a good job upping your production game, but what if you could up it even further? And while this song isn't yacht rock, I definitely feel some of that yacht rock smooth West Coast production, but like most Beck songs, this one goes on way too long. Just like make it 20% shorter.
No, nope, not even a little bit.
Yeah, can't follow you there. In fact, I know that we have historically been down on those long extended outros, but Al could close out more songs with an extended outro as long as he threw in another Muppet losing it in the background.
Yes. Well, the outro is not the problem here. I could probably go without the whole Jamaican Me Crazy bit.
Nope, that
Ties the whole
absolutely
song
cinches
together.
it. Yep.
So I actually have a headcanon, because when you're writing a song like this, you don't just sit down and fill out your verses, right? What you do is you write way too much song, And then you pair out the stuff that doesn't work until you're left with the fitting in the verses. But what happened is Al wrote 6 minutes of song and is like, it's all gold. 6 minutes long, and I sat through all 6 minutes, and my nipples were getting hard.
Yeah.
I will say that this song has a quality that certain jokes have. The joke goes on too long, but as it goes on too long, you start saying, okay, the fact that it's going on too long is funny. I will say this song does have that quality to it.
I've got this in S for Sexy Love Torpedo.
Song is 30 seconds longer than Nature Trail to Hell and twice as enjoyable. A+++.
I gave this a B for Beck.
I do wish he had spelled the title of the song correctly, though.
Should I go ahead and propose and get hitched and have kids with 11 toes and move to Alabama where that kind of thing is tolerated? No, no.
Avril Lavigne's Complicated was like a bright spot for me in like this dead era of music. I really, really liked the song. And in fact, back in the day when the song was new, I had a conception of it being a lot older than it was, because it feels like it could have been recorded in like 1997, right? It feels a little older, like it could have been like in a Meredith Brooks kind of era, which kind of makes it a weird choice for a Weird Al parody, because he really does try to be in the moment for each album. He doesn't like to go back 6 or 7 years. So I guess maybe that's why this song is not the album's anchor parody, because I think it's a much stronger song than Couch Potato all the way through.
You got to adjust your clock there to Canada time, so 7 years behind is about right.
Okay. Well, the parody takes an already great song and it tells the 3 little vignettes about it, and all 3 of them have great lyrics. It's really funny. So you spend the first lyric rhyming the word complicated with the word constipated, and then you immediately think the song's not about constipation. What are the other 2 words he's going to go with? So for me, that was a great source of comedy. It was like exploring a little mystery hearing the song for the first time.
I also have a weird soft spot for Avril Lavigne, probably due to the CanCon requirements, giving her a lot of radio play as I was growing up. So like Complicated, Skater Boy, My Happy Ending, just drill into that nostalgia center of my funky neurons. Got it in first. So Al absolutely taps into that here.
So the story I've heard about this song is that Al tried making several different parodies, but he couldn't quite make them work through the whole song. So he decided to make what amounts to a parody medley. After listening to the last album, and we suffered through 11 minutes of Albuquerque, and I was thinking to myself that this feels like the concept behind Albuquerque, of that guy just having a really tough day, really tough week, really tough life, whatever, was just refined into the single day in the life story about this one guy. And you got to think, if they had tightened Albuquerque up to like 3 or 4 minutes and tried to make an actual song out of it, this is what we would have gotten. Except that I think putting it to Avril makes it work, because I don't know about you guys, but it always felt like Avril was kind of a punching bag at times. I think it's because it was music that girls liked, ergo, because girls like it is meant to be an object of derision.
This was absolutely hitting the right time for me to be absolutely into this kind of music.
Yeah. So I don't think I could have properly appreciated it at the time, because it was like, oh, this is on radio. I'm too cool. Here I am listening to progressive rock. All their music is bad. But no, turns out I love Avril. She's great. And this song is great. I love everything about it.
You know what? I love Skater Boy too. I'm gonna go on the record.
Sadly, the song gets points off on my part just for being 3 relatively disconnected vignettes without any grander thesis or theme. It again, I don't like the fact that it's
complicated.
It's just 3 separate songs that don't feel like they gel together. And it's also Al's least relatable song for me. Lactose has the exact opposite problem when I ingest it, just goes right through me. I'm adopted, so I don't have a clue if anyone I'm dating is related, so that DNA test comes out early on in the relationship. And Canada has 0 good roller coasters. None. They're banned at a nationwide level, so until Brick gets me down to Florida, the chances of me being decapitated are pretty slim.
All right.
Points off, lowest song on the album for me so far at a B.
I gave it an S for Skater Boy.
I gave it an A for Avril.
Disembodied head, and I thought, oh Rob, I just had lunch with him. Hey, wait a minute, he still owes me money.
I almost wish we'd done the albums in reverse order because I would have really liked to have already discussed First World Problems before getting to this song.
Yeah.
TLDR there is this song really works for me, and that song really doesn't, even though it's covering the same subject matter. And the key element is that the character in this song is an absolute raging narcissist.
Oh, yeah.
So it's really fun to laugh at the stupid things he considers to be problems. And the harmonizing on Disembodied Head is just heavenly.
I mean, Ben Folds banging it out on that piano.
I had to go back and like relook at my spreadsheet because Al does have a fair number of First World Problem songs before this. We've got I Lost on Jeopardy, which is kind of a First World Problem song. We've got One of Those Days, which is the First World Problem song. And, Traffic Jam is kind of a First World Problem. He's dabbled around with that idea for a while. This one is a little out there, though.
I mean, this is the same put upon guy that we had in some of those songs, right? Except that he's just gone complete after being stuck in that traffic jam. That was it. That's the last straw.
Maybe when he doored that motorcyclist, he's like, hey, wait a minute. That felt real good. I'm just going to be a sociopath from now on.
We know this guy, right? This complete jerk who thinks that everything that happens is a slight against him personally. Worst absolute thing that'll ever happen to him, and nothing could get worse, except no, this song manages to find ways to keep making it worse.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say that I don't know anybody like this. Thank goodness.
No, I do know people like this who think the world revolves around them, so they just sit there and spin. Anyways, I don't know who Ben Fold is, but apparently he plays piano on this song. So I went and looked up some of his stuff and like was listening to the, top hits on the Spotify because I'm a youngin', and man, their style makes me realize I probably have a glaring hole in my angry band geek sensibilities.
Oh, yes.
Wow, where was this all my life?
That's one of the great things about the show is that we're introducing each other to different kinds of music. And it's definitely expanded my palette a little bit, researching other stuff that I might, like Zydeco, that I never really would have gone into that rabbit hole.
That's why I like Al. Just allow me a moment here to say Al is up there for broadening my musical horizons in much the same way Rock Band was. Right?
Yes.
You hit so wide a target with Al. You never know what you're getting when you come onto an album. And yeah, I never even looked into who Ben Folds was. I just kind of skipped this song. But I now have a whole new set of albums I get to enjoy.
Thank you, Ben Folds, for having the grace to play on this with Weird Al. You're better than Eminem.
I've got this in A.
Yeah, I also have this in an A.
I gave it an A.
Our A tier is getting real beefy for this album.
This is maybe the best album Al has put out yet.
But to his great surprise, it seems she prefers guys who can kiss upside down in the rain.
Oops. This is my favorite movie recap song by far. Maybe it's because it's easily my favorite movie of the bunch. Like, Sam Raimi, as the flip side to the Coen brothers, has a soft spot in my heart. And his Spider-Man is probably the best superhero movie and bears the brunt of the responsibility for the power of the superhero zeitgeist of our time. Raimi invented the upside down kiss in the rain, as Al deems to highlight here. And Uncle Ben's mantra has been so thoroughly drilled into the ground that 2 whole reboots later, we are still memeing about how overused that line is. And Al is already lampooning it in this song. I also pointed out how the saga begins matches the themes of the song and the movie perfectly. And, Spider-Man goes with Piano Man just as well, if not better. It's a song about an unsung hero, an average working Joe doing something exceptional that just happens to blend into the background. Al really is your friendly neighborhood accordion man.
You've been waiting to drop that one on us, haven't you?
Oh, yeah.
I do think it's appropriate that Billy Joel, the most New Yorker of New York music, is the musician parodied for the most New York of superheroes, Spider-Man.
I think Buttface may have, yet again, inadvertently showed his youthful ignorance. The phrase "with great power comes great responsibility" was already overused, ground in the dust, with 30 years of writers dredging it back up over and over and over before Sam Raimi got anywhere near a video camera.
I'm also pretty sure there is some panel somewhere in the 30 years of Spider-Man comics drawn by so many people where you've had an upside down kiss. There has to be. They had
yeah,
to
of
have done
course.
that.
I'm sure I've seen
As far
one.
as the history, because I looked into it, and I'm pretty sure Raimi just pulled that imagery whole cloth.
So this is Al's fourth swing, by my estimation, at the idea of this timeless parody, where you take something contemporary that's going to last forever and match it with the perfect song from yesteryear. And I think it fails so hard at that. Two reasons, really. Spider-Man is excellent, and I've loved all three of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. But this version of Spider-Man did not endure and was never going to. This was only ever going to be Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. And as soon as other writers get their hands on it, this version of Spider-Man is just going to fade into history. And that's exactly what happened. And from the other side, I don't see any connection at all between Spider-Man, that movie, or Spider-Man, the character, and Piano Man.
It's New York. That's
Okay.
what it is. That's the connection.
That's a really tenuous connection. Jurassic Park and The Saga Begins both had very strong connections there that made a lot of sense to me. I also just really hate the line, "Sling us a web, you're the Spider-Man." And that line's doing a lot of lifting in this song.
I would also be remiss if I didn't point out this is the farthest back Al has ever pulled for a parody.
Yes.
Even though at the time Piano Man was going on 30 years, this song was a timeless classic. And I think 20 years on, Spider-Man 1 is in the same boat along with this song.
I don't think you can support that with evidence at all. MCU Spider-Man has
did you see
completely
people
overtaken
absolutely
it.
losing it to have Tobey Maguire back in the MCU, which is the dominant cultural force of our time?
I've seen people absolutely losing it in the moment over 10 million things. The question is, the original Jurassic Park and Star Wars Episode 1 will be with us forever, whereas Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, excellent film though it was, is not going to be anybody's quintessential Spider-Man going forward.
Of those three movies, Spider-Man 2 is the best movie because, I love Willem Dafoe, but Al is correct about that whole Power Ranger mask thing with the Green Goblin. And honestly, when they brought Dafoe back in No Way Home, I actually think his character was done much better in that movie than it was in the original movie he was in.
Again, we're 20 years on, and Spider-Man 1 and 2 have not lost their luster yet.
See, I think they have. I absolutely, like, you personally might still really love those movies, and so do I, and so do Dan.
I'm thinking contemporarily with everyone that I know. I think this might just be a "you guys are old" thing.
No, it's definitely not.
We're getting into
Definitely not.
the time of the younger generation now, baby.
One of Spider-Man's biggest contemporary films of the moment were the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and those movies have endured for 20 years. People are still watching and building upon those today.
Now, how'd that new TV show turn out for you?
It was horrible, and everybody who liked those movies hated the TV show, much the way comic book nerds will lament when a new writer takes over for a comic book hero that they liked, which is exactly what happened as Spider-Man went on to be written by more and more people.
I'm not a comic book guy, but again, like, people are losing it, that the fact that, Sam Raimi's back directing movies for the MCU. The Peter Parker was back, played by Tobey Maguire. This is still getting buzz 20 years on. I don't know how you can say it's not as big as Jurassic Park.
I think Ricky is being a little hard on them. He's not wrong in his usual way, but I think he's looking at it much more critically than I would. It's just
we don't need to do a whole dredging of superhero nonsense. I'm just saying specifically this movie, this song, the pairing work, it's great. This is the best recap song Al has done.
You think of the three biggest characters, you're going to think Superman, you're going to think Batman, and you're going to think Spider-Man. Those are the three things that you think of when you think of timeless characters. Either the advantage or the problem of these timeless characters is that there's always moments of time that you can visit. And the Sam Raimi movies are a moment in time of Spider-Man.
Exactly. That's
They-
exactly my point.
Yeah, that's
If Al had written a song about Spider-Man in general, like the general Spider-Man mythos, I would have no complaint. But he wrote a song about one specific movie that was super hot in 2003, but the mythos has already moved on. By the next iteration of Spider-Man, Mary Jane wasn't his girlfriend in high school anymore, and this song is already anachronistic.
I see your point there, but on the other hand, we just went through The Saga Begins with a movie that
The Saga Begins is canonically the beginning of the Star Wars story, and always will be.
true.
I'm giving this one the much maligned A-.
Fine, fine, fine.
Buttface, you like it like a C+?
I already said this is the top of the movie recap song. This is S+++ for me.
Really?
okay.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I did give Jurassic Park and Saga Begins an S. This is better than Gump. It's not as good as those other ones. I'm sorry, Buttface. This is a B+.
Woo!
I knew y'all sink this.
Rise to vote, sir. Do ye see God? You 9-man interpret, 9-man I nod.
The song that inspired the most recent Nolan masterpiece, Tenet. Taking pot shots at Dylan and his sometimes nonsensical, vibe-based, cryptic lyrics is nothing new. Heck, Stuck in the Middle with You was doing that 30 years earlier, and yet Al's finding a new angle to approach that tired ground. Making a whole song's worth of lyrics out of palindromes isn't as easy as you'd think. The only thing trickier would be to try to write a melody that is identical forward and backwards, but like, that's just an unreasonable ask, so I'll just take that one back.
Oh. And like, I can't cut it out because that was his opener coming out of. Ugh.
You know, guys, I don't care much for Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
You'd probably think that's unusual
That
for
does
me.
surprise me to hear that.
But
No, that tracks.
so this song is kind of like in the vein of Tombstone Blues, but the video is one video that we got for this album is a hastily made Weird Al video based on the subterranean homesick blues in the documentary Don't Look Back. I mean, I appreciate the palindromes. It was a challenge and Al succeeded at the challenge, but like, I just don't like listening to people doing Bob Dylan impressions.
Oh, yeah, I get doing that nasally drawn out voice as some kind
We're
of impression.
going to, anybody can do this and it sounds bad.
Why would you say I don't like listening to these impressions and then inflict one upon us?
Now give us your John Lennon, Dan.
During his show at the Ill-Advised Vanity Tour, he told little stories about every song that he introduced. And for Bob, he was just like, I was playing around with palindromes, seeing if I could fit them in something. And then he just kind of went and wasn't really sure if it worked. Then he just shrugs and his band goes into the song. So Al has been doing this song for like 20 years, knowing that it didn't work. It was just a fun writing exercise. And nobody was around to tell him, don't put it on the album. And maybe that's okay at this point in your career, right? Like, you have to be really experimental with stuff to know what is and isn't a good idea. And it's not unlistenable. And I don't even mind the Bob Dylan impression. And I think the video is really funny. But yeah, I've got this in C for Bob Dylan.
I mean, this is the return of the one joke song.
It's like half a joke.
I mean, I
Yeah.
learned some palindromes in this that are handy to have in my back pocket.
Like what?
Go hang a salami, I'm a lasagna hog.
I need to know, before we move on with our lives, what is a situation in your life where you're going to need that palindrome?
You never know. You never know.
I also had this in C.
I like the song. It's just the vocal impression is a little hard to get through. So I give it a B for Bob. Oh my God. The song's title is Bob. I thought it was just a short palindrome. Wow.
Tell me why I bid on Shatner's old toupee. They had it on eBay. I'll buy.
So guys, I have a poll. Backstreet versus NSYNC. I think I have to choose Backstreet because even though NSYNC, individually, the members of NSYNC probably have the most talent, it's easier to listen to Backstreet. I think more of their discography holds up over time. And as one of Weird Al's many talents shows that he can be his own boy band. And it works.
I want that on a resume.
It 100% works. And the thing is that if this song had come out on the previous album, it probably could have been an Anchor parody. But the problem is that this song is 4 years old by the time this album comes out. It's kind of passed them by. You can't lead this album off with this song, even though, unlike the lead single, this song actually, quote, charted. Like if this song had a video, this would have been on MTV all the time.
Oh yeah.
Like this would have been everywhere. It is one of the best listicles he's done. It's only surpassed by the other great listicle song on this album.
You know what? I think eBay is the ultimate listicle song. Hardware Store is a list.
Okay.
It is not a listicle.
Okay.
A listicle is a portmanteau between list and article, which means you have a list of things that go along with an article, some idea you're trying to convey. You have a lot of context for the list. Hardware Store is an excellent list. It's my favorite list of all time. But eBay is my favorite listicle of all time. And part of it is because I never had an NSYNC or Backstreet phase. But this one song, I Want It That Way, was an excellent song and still is. Super listenable. My wife is super into the Backstreet Boys, guys. Just saying. But also, I went hard into eBay back in the early aughts.
Yeah.
I was buying up D&D books. I was buying up old NES games.
eBay is very dangerous for your wallet. So you guys know me. You know I collect old junk. Most of my old junk I find by going to the thrift store or by cruising Craigslist, which we'll talk about eventually, or Facebook Marketplace, trying to find people who don't necessarily know what they have or something I can get a deal on. And I understand exactly the thrill of the hunt of just making a deal that this song talks about.
I don't do online shopping. That's probably just a reactionary preventative measure on my part, because it can be dangerous and I don't need that in my life. But I am struggling not to give this song an S. Because like we have a total of 2 website songs, and I technically like the other one better. Which means, like, I don't want to say they're both S-tier songs. This whole project is about
songs.
This project is about picking favorites, Dan. This song does nothing wrong. It is a pitch perfect recreation of Backstreet Boys, right?
You better not be sinking this.
This is proof that Al could have done more with the boy band sound if he really wanted to. He doesn't, because he nailed it here. Oops, this song is still an S.
Oh, yeah.
God, I love this song. I just want to play it again. This is the one song that I've had on repeat.
This is our second triple S of the album.
Yeah.
They take my mystique, they think I'm très magnifique. When I'm in Paris, I'm the chicest of the chic.
This song is a loving tribute to a person that people find extremely divisive. That person, of course, is Jerry Lewis. At least that's what I've read on the internet, and the internet would never lie to me. This song is also a loving tribute to a very divisive musician, Mr. Frank Zappa. And, you know, there are things in this world that are executed very well that I do not like. And this is one of them. Because Weird Al, as a child of the 70s, for the most part, he would love Frank Zappa. And in this song, there are no less than 12 distinct songs that Al is referencing that Zappa has written over the years. He got his son, Dweezil Zappa, to play guitar on it. You can tell that the care has gone into it. It's funnier the more familiar you are with the source material. But here's the thing. Frank Zappa, as, quote, popular as he was, he annoyed a lot of people. And his music, quote unquote, can be funny, but on the other hand, you can put on a Zappa album and be like, what the hell is this? And unfortunately, this song is what the hell is this in distilled form. If you love Frank Zappa, you're going to see her say, wow, this is the best song in the album, S quadruple plus. He really gets Zappa. It's something where I can understand it. I don't like it, but I get it. And I get the references and I know what he's doing and everything is executed very well. And that is my extraordinarily long monologue about this song.
Dan, I do understand your point about execution. because that's kind of what I want to do to you for even suggesting this song belongs anywhere above F tier. I don't want to know people who like this song. If I ever find out anybody that I like and respect enjoys Genius in France, they're dead to me.
Hey, look, I'm the one who took the bullet on this song, okay?
Nobody asked you to do that.
I'd been scared away from even looking at Frank Zappa because of this song. To listen to a podcast and find out that Jim Frog Fractions is a big Frank Zappa fan is no surprise to me for the guy who writes a rambling surprise joke as a video game. Here are my notes in order as I have written them. Where Albuquerque was lyrically dense but aimlessly meandering, this is the counterpart melodically and instrumentally. I like mocking the French almost as much as I like mocking the British. It's fine, stop your whining, it's a B.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, now we're gonna have a problem.
Song's fine. It's fine to listen to. It's a sometimes food. Same as Albuquerque, it's just the flip side of the coin.
You know what? It's gonna average out to a D, and I'm done talking about this song.
You're gonna have to reevaluate our friendship here, Brick. It's okay.
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the album? Because seriously, this is the best Weird Al album we've listened to yet.
No, it's not.
I'm
No,
looking at your
no.
gradings. I'm looking at them, and we've got S's and B's across the board, Dan.
It's good. It's pretty good.
I have A's and high S's. You've got B's, A's, and S's. You've got 2 C songs, and that's the lowest you get.
Yeah.
This is your favorite album, according to
No.
the numbers.
Math.
I'm looking at it
Cannot
right
argue
now.
with math.
No.
Yeah.
This does not better than no.
You don't have a single D.
I'm going to have to go and numerically weight stuff because, I mean, I've got way more S's and A's on Bad Hair Day. And we're not even talking about Alapalooza here.
I'm just
You
saying.
gave like 2 of those songs a D, as I recall.
I only gave one song in there a D. Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
There's one song in this album that deserves the D, and you didn't even give that.
I mean, I probably should give it a D.
It's too late. It's already placed.
But no, I would rank for this can't be higher than a B.
And that's fine. You know what? Because sometimes an album is not as good as the sum of its parts, right?
Yeah.
You can have 12 bangers and not enjoy the album as a whole as much as a previous album that spoke to you more in different ways, even though it has friggin' Billy Ray on it.
Yep, sorry, nope, this is an S+ tier album for me.
Do you have a thing for poodles and rubber underwear?
Let's move on to potpourri, guys.
Okay.
I accelerated the minds of mankind to a higher plane of understanding, and I can't calculate the weight and the size and the shape or the shadow of the mind you're standing in. And I will leave you with a page from a book I wrote at half your age 3, but the
First things first, writing credits on this song go to Nice Peter and Epic Lloyd, who are the guys behind the Epic Rap Battles YouTube channel, and also Zach Sherwin, who is one of their frequent collaborators. As far as I can tell, Al's involvement in this song ends at playing the character of Isaac Newton in the video and the performance of his portion of the rap. That said, I can calculate the weight and the size and the shape of the shadow of the mind you're standing in is the best diss I've ever heard. I didn't know what Epic Rap Battles of History was. This is a cultural phenomenon that just completely passed me by. So this was the first one that I had seen after hearing the song on the Medium Rarities disc. And then my wife and I sat down and we watched a bunch of them. And after like 5 or 6, we're like, all right, we get the shtick. Like none of them are as good as that first one we watched.
I was waiting for the but there. Yeah, no, I was following ERB and Nice Peter as it was like drip fed released. This has just been something that's kind of like always there in the background as my YouTube viewing, and every time a new one comes out, I'm like, oh yeah, no, that's pretty good. Some are better, some are worse. This is cream of the crop, though. The Bill Nye versus Isaac Newton rap battle is S tier as far as that goes, just for the lyricism alone. And Al, for his part, does an excellent job, again, because he's a fantastic rap artist.
Mm-hmm.
I think my theory earlier in this show was correct that Al, not just a better rapper than Eminem, but a better disser than Eminem. And he may not have wrote that diss, but the way he delivered it.
I also have to point out that it does take a different level of craft to be able to match something that someone else wrote and still infuse it with your own energy. Like, that's good on you, Al.
If you had told me that Weird Al had wrote even just his part of the song, like, I would absolutely believe it.
Mm-hmm.
I put this in A, and the reason it's not S, because it's an S tier rap, and I absolutely love the idea of Isaac Newton and Bill Nye like being in a rap battle, and then Neil shows up to back up his boy Bill. Like, I love all of that, but Al didn't write it. And to me, that's going to keep it out of an S tier in a Weird Al song playlist, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair.
For me, this song is 1/3 Al, and that 1/3 is not even Al behind it. And I don't know, this is B for Bill Nye. No, not that one, the Davy Jones one.
I don't really know where I want to grade this. I mean, it's really good, but it leans on the video a lot.
It really does. You do have to see the video.
I mean, I think in terms of mimetic YouTube videos, it definitely is an S. But in terms of an Al discography, I think this is a B.
So one of the things that does bother me about the song, and I realize it's just part of the format of ERB, is that they don't actually tell us who won. You're supposed to like, comment, and subscribe and tell us who you think. Honestly, though, for me, Newton wins this battle. I don't care how.
Newton is a foundational physicist.
Foundational physicist, father of forces. Anyways, we get to look forward to Straight Outta Linwood next week, which is going to be maybe a bit more of a mixed bag, but boy, there's stuff on here that I still love.
That was it? That's what you...
That's all I got, man. I don't know.
That was just a plug for the next week's...
Keep people like, comment, and subscribe.
I just wanted to end on wow, which is also a palindrome.
No, we got it. It just...
Okay.
We didn't laugh because it wasn't funny.
Thank you, Ted. That was the joke.